You're listening to the Radical Transformation Speaker Salon, hosted by Nicole Harlow. 4 days worth of transformational interviews, meditation, and surprises designed to rock your world and change your life. Your year of soul discovery and wild metamorphosis starts today.
Hey everyone, Nicole Harlow here, and it's day 3 of the Radical Transformation Speaker Series. I'm talking with Dajon Ferrell today, and I managed to catch up with her while she was on retreat in Austin, Texas. So she was in a relaxed and really juicy state of mind. We got really down into talking about what it really means to be a purposeful creator, and also a lot of really good information about developing a self-care ritual for your day. And just before we really hop into it, I just want to kind of tell you a bit about Dajon so you can meet her, and then we'll just hop into the interview. So she is a solution guide and mind, body, spirit practitioner. She loves working with all sorts of people, but her passion is working with veterans with a history of PTSD or military sexual trauma. She facilitates workshops and provides guidance and exercises to shift from a place of lack to one of liberation and empowerment. As a military member for 13 years, she's developed unique skills which allow her to navigate the daily grind mentality to help excavate and cultivate the wholeness and value that has always been a part of each of us. No more living on cruise control. She's committed to service by assisting in creating that safe space to restore that light within you. So you can find her over at dajonsmiles.com. That's DAJONSMILES.com. And you can also find these links on youryearofradicaltransformation.com/day3. As you can see, I'm losing my voice a bit from all of these conversations. Yeah, I think that's probably all I want to say. You can also jump over to Dajon's website and check out her Lyme program that we talk about a bit in the interview. Otherwise, enjoy, and I'll see you next time on the next interview. Bye. So I'd love to hear a little bit about like what it is that you what you do, like what you help people with, and also kind of a bit of a backstory about how you got to the place where you are now. Yeah, I know that's a big question, but just like I guess it's kind of like, was there a lightning bolt that just, one day you're like, this is what I want to do? Or was it a series like me, like a series of kind of trial and error things that eventually you felt your way into like the work that you're doing now?
Okay, yeah, definitely. So for me, I kind of found myself, I had some experiences in the military around just military sexual trauma, and just it led to some depression and anxiety, and I was in this place where I just was kind of searching for purpose.
Yeah.
And well, not kind of, I was, and I felt like I was going through the motions of life, and that whole thing when people say the daily grind, and now like I obviously don't enjoy that term at all, but because it's just like no, life is so much more than a daily grind. But,
yeah.
Back in the day, that's kind of how I felt, and I think my main issue. Well, I know my main issue was obviously the trauma that had happened and healing around that, but that self-worth piece and not feeling like I was enough, or who am I to go and help people, even though I had that mission placed in my heart. And so I started my own healing journey, and I found a teacher in Arizona, Sunny Dawn Johnston, and started going to some of her things and watching some of her free things online, and started seeing that as I was healing and transforming myself, a lot of my friends in and out of the military, but especially the military, would be like, oh, like, how do you handle this? And, oh, I see that the meditation is helping. Like, how do I do that? I can't quiet my mind. And so I started kind of helping just in that way. And I had a blog that I started after my divorce, and that's when I was going through a lot of that darkness. And I just started it because I wanted a way to release. It wasn't like I really even thought people would read it.
Mm-hmm.
And I started meeting people through that, and they wanted to know more, and how can they do this? So it was kind of, I didn't ever really set out to do it on my own and to teach and everything, but obviously the universe had bigger plans, and then started stepping into that and started doing video blogging and speaking at events. The Minnesota Department of Veteran Affairs asked me to come and teach at a Gold Star family retreat, and Gold Star families are people who have lost a service member, and I mean, it could be a combat-related illness or death, or suicide, or it could just be anything. And I was very like humbled and like, how am I going to go speak in front of these people? I don't know, I just didn't know how somebody who was my age and everything is going to give them advice. And so the universe kind of set up these lovely opportunities for me to kind of like step into my power and realize that I had something to say, and that it wasn't necessarily about me. It was about me being a clear channel for the messages to come through, and my whole goal is to help people see their purpose, and wherever they might be, no matter what situation they might be in, and celebrate, like actually celebrate themselves, wherever they might be in life. And then that whole thing of finding solutions. So finding solutions is like getting out of our head, getting into our hearts and saying, how do I feel right now? And how do I want to feel? So if something's really bothering you, or if you're deciding, oh, should I go down this path or not? And it's like going into that love or fear. Am I making this decision based out of love, or am I making it based out of fear? So I'm trying to kind of just quiet the mind and get back into that, those answers that are all within us.
Beautiful. And how do you work with people? Is it in person, in groups, virtually in groups, or like a combination of all of those things?
Yeah, so it really is. I'm actually getting ready to launch Celebration, which is a membership site, and that will include, we have people that we're doing podcasts with, and lots of fun little products, and it'll be super, super inexpensive, so that it's a tribe and a community, because I really like that group energy.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, but I do retreats as well in Minnesota, and those right now have been with female veterans, but I'm hoping, once again, it's that whole thing of like, I had to do it and prove to myself that like, okay, yes, I can lead a retreat and it can be amazing. And so now I'm hoping to open up and do retreats for, I say civilians, but just I don't even, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I still am in the military, so sometimes it's like, so normal people.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to do more of that, and then also, sorry, I'm losing I speak at a lot of events. So I'm speaking at this Be Great conference that's awesome in Seattle, and then we have one in Minnesota called the Presence Summit. Because once again, I really like that group energy, and it's cool to be able to step into a room with a bunch of people you don't know and just like jive and come together and connect.
Yeah. And don't you have something like your Lyme program? I think I read. Yeah, what's that?
So that is a 4-part series around love, inspire, mindfulness, and empowerment. So we start with love because that's the area that a lot of people are depleted, or at least the people that are drawn to me. It's that self-love piece is kind of missing. And then we go into inspiration. And when it comes to inspiration, it's not necessarily like just that, the typical definition of it, but it's actually dipping into that spirit within you, that spirit's above you, and what is it that really truly makes your heart sing. So people finding joy in their lives again, and like, what is my purpose? So that's where the inspiration comes into. And then the mindfulness piece, that's about being mindful and present. And then so you found your joy and your purpose, but you're still going to have challenges. So how can you mindfully choose and kind of enter those experiences with a little more grace and ease? And then from that comes empowerment, because when you go through those experiences and you're like not reacting like you used to react, instead you're just experiencing it and going, oh, isn't that interesting? You feel empowered, because that now those experiences that used to, create your day are no longer doing that, and you're creating your own day.
Well, it's like a nice, simple framework to just kind of wrap it all up. Like, if you live by love, inspiration, mindfulness, and empowerment, it's like, you got it.
Yeah. It really came from like my own journey, and it was like that was the process that I had to take, and I obviously had to still always come back to love and still come back to once you like kind of figure out how do these all play in my life and how do I want to feel, and that whole piece of like how can you unconditionally love others if you don't unconditionally love yourself? That's a huge part of the work that we do. So there's a lot of journaling and meditation and sitting around that. How do I create that within my day?
Yeah. So when you started working with other people in the military, were you working with them about like sexual trauma, like healing sexual trauma, or were you working just more in a kind of general like how to make your life better sort of way?
Yeah, when I first started, it was the mindfulness piece. A lot of people were feeling overworked and overwhelmed and chaotic, so it was quieting the mind, a lot of it. I would do lunch and learns and invite people, and I would talk about what I would call stress management, because I didn't want to like scare them off by saying meditation. So
right, yeah.
We're going to learn about stress management or time management today. And so I noticed I would get people of all ranks. I had generals and like all the way down to privates, male, female, all different ages in there, all saying the same thing. And then once I got a little bit more comfortable about speaking and just felt ready to, like, I could really be in a position to assist with the military sexual trauma. That's when I started hosting, I hosted a retreat in June, and that's when it was like, okay, I'm ready to take that on, and I feel like I definitely can be of service to that audience.
And did you feel supported by, I'm just going to say the military in general, did you feel supported in like taking on that role, or was there any like pushback? Or
I have, so there's I'm in public affairs, and in public affairs they're all about telling the stories of the soldiers and getting the word out, and that whole we do a lot of communication about mental health and all these things. And so in my section, the leadership was very supportive, but then I also had people that were a little threatened, and they actually used my image as a like warning to other females, like don't I, which is called Dajon Smiles, and has a picture of me like with a big grin on my face, and would say, "Don't be like her," and they would be very I'm like, seriously, I'm just like, one girl that like talks about unicorns, so I had both experiences, but that's just fear. It's all good. It's just their fear, not knowing, and so it didn't really faze me.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you also had the support piece, and it seems like you're in the right section with public affairs to be doing that work too.
Oh yeah, and they totally get it, and they're very like I had an offer to speak at an event during training day, and so I arranged it so that I could go over lunch, and so I still got my training day in, but then I was able to go and do it, and they were like, yeah, go ahead, it's all good, and because they understand and see like that bigger mission and that bigger purpose.
And just like, I'm sure you know and probably are a fan as well, but like the work of Brene Brown and the vulnerability and just telling the stories and having a place to air those stories is so important. So important.
I did this project called the Telling Project, where you actually go on stage and with other veterans you share your story, and it's kind of in a play format, so you have different parts and everything, but it's all your stories. And I was nervous to be seen because I'd done it in my own little tribe, but like doing it out in front of strangers at this really, really fancy theater, and that vulnerability piece, that's where like we connect through compassion, and knowing that you're not alone. And I had females coming up to me and they're like, thank you, because I also experienced this, and it's good to see that like other people have, and like that you're speaking out about it. And I realized that me speaking out about it, as hard as sometimes it can be, it's, if you remove the ego, because it's not about me, like I'm speaking on behalf of all the women and men that have experienced it, but also it's the way I connect with people. It's my little, it's happened for me and not to me.
Yep. Yeah. That's powerful stuff. Yeah, it's I just really respect the work that you're doing in the world. I have a family member who experienced sexual trauma in the military. I myself have been sexually assaulted in my past, and so many women that I know in my life, have had that experience. So I think the more that people do talk out about it, the better that it is for all of us, for all women and men as well.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I totally, I mean, obviously doing the work, I see more and more that it is something that not only affects, obviously, the military community, but everybody. And it's it just takes a little bit of your soul. Like when it happens, it depletes you in that area. And there's so much work. Like I had to do work around being intimate in a relationship and, trusting and all of those things, plus not to mention, how it can affect you in your career and all of that, and your confidence, and being able to be in a male environment and still shine your light bright and knowing, that it's all good. So yeah, it's people are like, oh, that's got to be heavy work, but it's really, for me, it's my calling and my mission.
Yeah.
So it's not heavy to me. I'm ready to speak and I'm open to hear, and I don't know, it doesn't feel heavy to me at all.
Yeah. Oh, that's how you know that it's right then. It's like,
yeah, it's true.
When it is like, the heavy thing, I sometimes feel that like, I don't think that, well, definitely the work that I do right now is not heavy, and I do want it to be fun, but I know that something about myself is like, well, I have my degree in psychology, and then my master's degree was in sexuality and gender studies, and I can be like very emotional on really like, I don't know, stupid, like silly things, just like, like I can't handle it because the trash can's dirty or something like that. But then it's like when it comes to someone having like a serious like sit down, or maybe sitting down with me and saying, I need to tell you something that I never told anyone else. It's like, I feel in the zone then. I feel like not that I'm not empathetic about the heaviness, but I just feel like comfortable to sit in that space. Like I'm not fidgeting, I'm not like wishing we could talk about something else. I'm like, all I feel is this deep like thank you. Like thank you for allowing me to share this with you, and I'll help in any way that I can. Obviously I'm not like a trained counselor or anything, but I've always just felt really comfortable in that role. So I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like in that point it doesn't feel heavy to me. I just feel like it's not that it feels light, but for me it just feels real.
Yeah.
It's like here we are talking about like real shit. And sharing in a really like open, honest, like cut down to the core way.
It's amazing. My friend made this comment the other night. She said when she's making decisions, or maybe, working on different projects or whatever, she said, am I in fear or am I in flow? And when you're in flow, you're just, oh, yeah, I'm in flow. Like, I am, like, you kind of, like, drop back into that kind of collective consciousness, you drop back into that space, and you're just doing the work that you're here to do.
Yeah.
And then when you step out of that, that's when kind of like the ego can pop in, or our little human quirks and little random things can happen. And then I picked up I'm a graphic designer, so I picked up a design job, and I just kept procrastinating on it, and then, it was stressing me out, and she's like, well, are you in fear or flow? And I was like, I think there's fear there because I picked it up because of the money. Yeah. I didn't necessarily want to do it. And when you get down to the deeper, like, what is that all about? It's, if I pick this up because of money, that means I'm not believing that there's an abundance out there in the work that I really want to be doing.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way, but yeah, that's really true.
Yeah, and then you go into it with that energy, and then you're procrastinating, and then you feel bad because you're procrastinating, or you don't do your best work on it because you're not in the flow. And and it's the same thing if you don't want to say no to somebody. It's like, well, why not? Where is that coming from? And bringing it back within, and that's where the solution comes. And when she said that, she said, okay, so if you're in fear, are you doing something? Are you talking yourself into doing something because of fear, or are you talking yourself out of doing something because of fear? Because there could be a great, amazing thing that you want to work on or do in the world, but you're like scared that you're not enough, or there could be a great, amazing thing that, or that's an opportunity, but it's not necessarily something that you want, but you're thinking, oh, I should do this because of money, or I should because of connections.
Yeah, I've definitely been guilty of that in the past, and taking on, like, especially with, the same, like, graphic design, web design stuff, like, for the most part, I'd say the projects that I take on are really aligned with who I am. The client's personality is really aligned, whether they're a yoga teacher or, like a nutritionist or something like that, or like a cool independent business, like they're really aligned. But there have been times when, because I felt like, oh, I should just do this for the money, I've taken on projects that weren't really aligned. And not only did they drag in time, and they were dragging on my soul, but they also kept me from doing the work that I love to do. They suddenly became this scapegoat of like, well, like it goes back to what you're saying, which I agree with. Like, I took on the project because I didn't believe that I could make that money doing what I loved, or something that was, or wait, and know that the perfect project was just around the corner, that I could say no to this one. I felt like I had to say yes to everything because, like, well, who knows when the next thing's going to come around, so I better say yes. But then inadvertently, that was keeping me from what would strengthen me in doing the things that I love.
It keeps you small because you're just like dimming your light. You're like, well, I don't totally trust that I'm provided for, but then you're saying your affirmations and you're like, oh, I am abundant.
Yeah.
And then you like tell the universe, but not that abundant.
Yeah.
The universe is like, oh, you're not? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's just interesting how it works when you really break it down. It's like we complicate it. We so overcomplicate it with our lovely, beautiful human brains. And so when she said it to me in that way, I was like, I can do that. That totally makes sense to me.
And just the affirmations being like, oh, I trust. I trust in the abundance is flowing to me. I trust in the universe. And then it's like, I get to my desk and I'm like, but I'm just gonna make sure, just in case, that I have a backup plan. It's like, and then just kind of saying like, no, the thing about trusting is like that you trust. It's not that you trust and then you're like, well, I'll just take on these 3 pharmaceutical projects just in case, you never know.
The universe doesn't have my back. It's funny. It's you have to like laugh at this whole experience. Otherwise, you would just totally stress yourself out with like all of the things that happen throughout the day. And so that's why, like, I feel like a lot of veterans, they feel like they're wearing their problems on their back, and they carry them everywhere. They're trying to be a mom and a soldier and all these things. And like when you explain it to them like that, it's like, oh, I can be more of a witness and less of a judge. Like that's huge for us, just letting it go, and then finding our tribe where we can have those hot mess moments and cry it out, and release it, and then carry on with our awesome selves.
Yeah, I feel so aligned with what you're saying.
Awesome.
So I want to ask you if there was a time, and maybe we've already talked about it, maybe it was one of the times in your life that we've already talked about, but maybe there's another gem in there. But is there a time in your life where you would say you experienced quite extensive transformation? Like the you that emerged was quite different than the person pre-transformation.
Yeah. I think after all the experiences, with in the military, but also I had abuse as a child as well, and so I had all this stuff happening, and that's like I kind of had in my mind, like, once I heal all this stuff, I'll be great. And once I get over this, and, I kind of was like, that's focused on the destination.
Yeah.
And I went to a retreat actually down in Arizona. It was actually a mind, body, spirit business entrepreneur retreat. So it wasn't even necessarily just a personal retreat, but it was with Dajons, and she was saying, what's personal is business and what's business is personal. There's no, this is my business life and this is my personal life. She's like, they all intertwine.
I agree.
So even though I was like, I'm going to this business retreat, I was literally thinking like, we're going to focus on our websites and things like that. And so it's good. I won't need all the tissues and everything. But, of course, she always has a good way of bringing it out, as a good teacher does. And so I had this moment where I always looked up to her because she's a beautiful, like physically she's beautiful, but like her heart is amazing. And she just has this way of when somebody does something that could hurt her, she has a way of like releasing it and just forgiving and going, okay, what is it in me that this is mirroring? Like, why am I getting upset over this in me and not necessarily focusing so much on pointing the finger? Mm-hmm. And that was something I really wanted to do a lot of work around. And I always kind of I looked up to her. So I had this moment where I walked into a Starbucks, and sometimes when, I think it might be because of the physical abuse and everything, but when I walk into a place, I try to like make myself invisible, because if I feel like I'm being checked out by men or anybody really, but like I just felt gross. Mm-hmm. And so I walked in, and there was a man that made eye contact with me and kind of smiled, and I smiled back, and I felt like I was a frickin' like big ball of light. Like I felt like I was floating. And wow. Just like I was reflecting that love back to him, no, regardless of where it was coming from within him, that's not my issue. Like that is none of mine, right? He could be coming from a place of whatever, but like I know where I'm coming from, and that I'm coming from love and light. And so I just was reflecting that back, and I actually saw all of the love, and I actually asked her one time at a retreat prior to this, like, what do you see in me? Like, how come? She just seemed to accept me as I was, and I felt so broken. And she's like, I just see love. I see everything that you are. I don't see all of those things. And so I finally saw that. I finally realized that, what, there isn't a destination of, when I get better and when I get fixed, because it's constantly transformation. And that's the beauty about it, is that, like, loving yourself right exactly where you are. And yes, having those aspirations and like, this is where I want to go and everything, but like in this moment right now, this is where I am, and that's okay too. So I think I believed in that, but I hadn't ever felt it. And I saw the love that I saw in her, like everything that I saw in her, I actually saw in myself that day. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
And it happened in a Starbucks of all places. So I found that interesting. I was like, here I thought, I would be at like some amazing place, when I was sitting on a rock meditating, and it was just me going in and getting my chai latte.
I love that. Yeah. And I really connected with what you said about wanting to make yourself small or invisible, because that's certainly something that I feel like it's really actually something that's still going on for me as well, but like, and something that I would like to work on. I have these conflicting desires to both be seen and be invisible, and it's really kind of I think it's situationally dependent, and I find that, like, I'd say the true me inside loves to be seen and loves to, like, because I love to dance, and I spent years being like a yoga teacher and a dance teacher, and I loved being the center, loved being the teacher, always loved that ever since I was young, like dancing and anything that kind of allows me to get, to be in the center there. Yeah. I feel like I really shine, but then I guess somewhere, along the line, I've established deep in my core that, like, outside and men and all of this is just, like, unsafe, and I want to just disappear. And it doesn't help that I'm 5'10". I've got like super long blonde hair, like, and I just feel like sometimes I'm this like how can you not stand out like when you're like almost 6 foot tall, and like there's no way, you know. So I find that a lot of, even within my body, and this is what I'm working with my osteopath about, is like there's this chronic tension in my body of even hunching my shoulders over and just trying to find ways to become smaller, like get into this little ball almost, like curl up. And I went into her because I was like, my shoulders are kind of tight and I just want you to work on my shoulders a bit. And as she played around my shoulders a little bit, she was like, no, your shoulders aren't the problem. The issue is that there's this like energetic pulling in the center of your chest that feels fear-based to me. Like she put her hand over my chest and stuff and was like, do you have anxiety? And I was like, yeah, it's hereditary. I've always had anxiety for as long as I can remember, and so does everyone in my family. I manage it with yoga and breath and taking care of myself. But she's like, yeah, that pulling in your chest, it's like you want to like close into a tighter ball, and it's hunching your shoulders for like forward. And so we've been working on like heart opening exercises to kind of which I feel like having that heart opening stuff just allows me to feel more comfortable being seen.
Yeah.
But I'd like to get to that place where like, I'm like walking into Starbucks and having like a beatific smile to anyone that looks at me. Just like, hello, I'm here, I'm safe.
I mean, and it's
glowing with love.
People will look, at me, and I mean, I'm 5'1", so I'm not tall at all, but and they'll say, oh my gosh, like I'm smaller, and they're like, oh, you can wear anything you want. How could you be self-conscious? And it's like, it's not about that. It's not always about the physical. It's about our hearts, that void sometimes people with tapping into, how do I feel? Like you said, you could feel like punching and you knew, oh, well, I have anxiety. That's just part of me.
Yeah.
But then it's like, but let's like still shine our lights bright and like still do our awesomeness and I don't know. It's just been interesting. And I still struggle with it. When I put the uniform on, I still want to be invisible.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that the universe has placed this journey in my path.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I'm not a typical soldier whatsoever. Like at all. And so it's just really, really, I always was, it's that finding your purpose again. I was always like, why am I in the military? Why do I keep doing this,
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, well, the military needs love and light. And I'm like a secret spy for spirit because I'm one of them. And I'm like, and they can understand, I can speak the language, and I'm like, instead of Batman, I'm like, love and unicorns. So I need like one of those lights with the big unicorn on it. And they're like, oh, she's coming.
Yeah.
So I still get that challenge every day when I put the uniform on. So it's like I still get tested, and with that, are you ready to show up and shine? Have you worked on this self-love piece? And I think that it's always going to be something I'm working on, because when I'm not, then there's no purpose for me to be on this planet anymore.
Yeah.
If I don't have these lessons or these expansions and growth.
Right. Yeah. Like what is life without that growth? That is just like, that is the definition of death. Like just, a lack of growth, a lack of like forward moving energy. You don't want to get into that place of stagnation.
Yes,
for sure.
Exactly.
I found that with more recently with creative projects. It's like I finally was able to just appreciate and accept the fact that like I feel happier and I feel better when I'm actually in the creative process and not the finishing process.
Oh.
And I was always really like, results or end driven, where it's just like, right, when I finish writing my book, I'm going to feel awesome. And then I finish my book and I have like postpartum depression because I feel like I just like gave birth to this thing that I was writing for so long. And it's like, wait, but now what do I do? Like, I'm just, it's just appreciating, like you said, working through the issues, like, that is it. Like, it's not necessarily getting to the end of all the issues. Like, for me, it's like, I don't want to get to the end of the projects.
Right.
I like just making, whatever. Luckily, like, my day career, like, allows me to create with web design and creative design. Like, I'm literally creating every day, like, and it's always something new, so that allows me to, like, sate that part of myself. But yeah, now I'm just, like, totally shifting my focus on that. It's not about, like, ending the project. It's actually, for me, is more about having another thing lined up behind it, so I know I can take a little bit of a break, but then jump into the next, like, right now, this is what I'm making.
That's so cool. I was walking through the labyrinth yesterday, and I was asking these questions, and, just saying, where will you have me go? What will you have me do? What will you have me say, and to whom? And as I was saying that, I kept talking, and I thought it was me talking up, but it was really the messages flowing through me. And one of the things that came through was, I am a purposeful creator. I think, like, you probably are too, because it's within that creation that you find your purpose.
Exactly.
So then when the project ends, you're like, oh, well, where's my purpose now? I mean, you still know it, but, it's that, like, having that creation mode on, and, like, that heart-centered, that's where your heart centers, in that space of, like, creating that purposeful thing.
Yeah, it's funny. It's and I have to just, on the flip side of that is just reminding myself that it's entirely necessary and important to just take some time to not do anything too. Which I really do struggle with. Like, even I was telling you, just, like, being not feeling well for the last few days of being in bed, and my partner's like, you have to sleep, you have to lay down, don't look at screens and stuff, and just, like, he left me in the room, like, thinking I was napping, and then, like, comes in, like, an hour later, and I'm, like, on the iPad, and just, like, he's like, what are you doing? I was like, well, I'm taking this opportunity to, like, sort out my fall wardrobe, because I've been wanting to build, like, a capsule, like, a really nice capsule wardrobe for the fall, and I was like, this is my perfect opportunity to do it. Like, I'm here in bed, I don't have anything else to do, I'm gonna, like, figure out my wardrobe. So it's not just, like, because I'm not, like, an online shopper. Like, when I buy things, I just, like, I'll do it once a season.
Yeah.
And I want to just, like, get it all done and, like, spend a couple $100 and just, like, this is my fall wardrobe. And I probably will only buy 1 or 2 things for, like, the next 4 months or something. But it's an intensive task, because I'm, like, bargain shopping and making a list about what I want. It's like, no, stop it. Just, like, don't do anything. Like, no, I don't know how.
I have the same issue, so I feel you there. We're multi-passionate soulpreneurs.
Yep.
That's what we do.
Yep. And that was relaxing for me. I was just like, it's relaxing. I'm going to do my fall, like, organizing my wardrobe.
I hear you, it is. But people don't understand that, because they're like, oh, you're working, or you're like, no, this is because this is something I enjoy doing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's awesome. Did you like put it down and just did you just be?
No.
Then that's okay too.
No, I was like, nope, this is what I have to do right now. At least I'm in bed. That's the important thing. Like, I was in bed, that was good enough. And I took naps. Like, I slept a lot, but when I was cognizant, I didn't want to just lay there, not doing anything. Like, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do something that's useful.
It's a good thing to have, because then you have the opposite, where you have people that struggle to, like, they will sit and just watch TV for hours, and they struggle with, like, getting themselves to do something.
Yeah, I don't have that problem.
Yeah, there's both sides of the coin. Like, I've been at this place for a few days, and, like, well, I don't have cable or anything, but, like, the TV hasn't, it's not even, like, I'm not even curious to turn the TV on. Whereas, like, some people, it's like, oh, it's on TV. So it's like, everybody has their own challenges. We're just very, we're just very high.
Self-motivating, for sure, yeah. Because it's funny that you mentioned TV, because I rarely, we're renting a flat here, and it comes with the TV, but it's not hooked up to anything. Like, it's just the TV. And there's all these like shows that everybody watches, and you gotta watch this, and you gotta watch that, and you gotta watch Game of Thrones, you gotta watch this, and I'm like, for the longest time, I've been so resistant to get involved with anything that has multiple seasons and anything that anyone said is a bit like binge watching.
Yeah.
And I was doing some like hard work, and this is probably like 6 weeks ago or something like that. I was like doing some hard work, and I was like, you know what? I've never watched any of these shows that anyone's ever talking about. I'm gonna like just give myself a little gift, and I'm gonna start Orange Is the New Black.
Okay.
And like I started it, and I really liked it. It's not that I dislike TV. It's just like I prioritize other things over watching it. But somewhere halfway, like it's 3 seasons or something, and yeah, it's binge watching. You want to just see what the next one is. And I was so, to be honest, I was so annoyed. Like, I liked watching the show, but, like, I just kept saying, like, why did I do this to myself? Like, there's so many other better things I could be doing, and now I'm, like, addicted to a show, and I'm like everybody else, and I'm just sitting on the couch watching multiple episodes. Now, I started putting on in the background while I was working, so I felt like at least I was doing something. But yeah, it just annoys me.
Yeah.
When I got to the end of the last season, I was like, not again for a long time am I going to get into like a series with multiple, like a show with multiple series that I'm going to want to watch, like binge watch and waste my time.
Yeah.
But I did like it though. I did like it. I was just annoyed. Like, maybe if I wish there's only like 4 episodes and it would have taken me like a day.
Yeah, or it was like a movie.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I watch movies. Like, you know, I do watch movies, but I just don't want to waste my time, really.
Yes, I hear you. I'm right there with you, sister. That's good.
So, speaking of like habits and good and bad habits, are there any like bad habits, or well, I don't want to label it bad because that seems really like, let's just say, are there any like habits or behaviors that aren't serving you that you'd like to let go of?
Yes, this is great. So mine is lack of sleep. On that note of always wanting to work and always do things, sometimes, like the other night, it was Sunday night, less than a week ago, and I just made the decision. I was working on this website and this stuff that I want to put out into the world, and it was like 9 p.m. and I just made the decision, I'm just not going to go to bed tonight, or maybe I'll go to bed at like 6 and get a couple hours of sleep and then go to work. I literally thought that was okay. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to do it, because then I have all this time to do all this stuff, and it's going to be amazing, because then tomorrow my website will be this much further, or whatever it might be, that I was working on. And then the laundry, that will be done, and blah, 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 blah. And so I thought that was a great idea. And so then I was talking with, I had an intuitive reading, and she actually channels this guide. And I asked him, I said, the sleep thing, I know people say that you need to get sleep, and my heart feels it, just like sometimes my heart feels like, I need to just not have sugar in me. I need to go on a sugar cleanse, So my heart feels that, like, I need to be getting sleep, but I feel this pressure to not, and this pressure to produce, and everything. And so, and he said, this is more than just, your human body needs it. Yes, your human body needs it, but, like, this is when you tap in to that higher consciousness. Like, yes, we do it through meditation and other things as well. And he's like, but this is the time that, like, you just shut down that mind and you just tap in, and the dreams are downloads, and the dreams bring you messages, and it rejuvenates the human body also, so that you can be more clear and more intuitive throughout your day. So if you're not giving your body and your mind and your heart that rest, then throughout your day, you're kind of like this muddled channel and this muddled, human being. So also, like, you're out on the roads driving and you may not be as responsive, or there's all these other things too. Yeah. And when he said that, I was like, I'm doing a disservice to my mission and my purpose in the world by not getting sleep. I'm dismissing everything, because I'm more muddled, and by me trying to be more productive but forcing it and not getting the sleep, it reduces my productiveness in other areas. And so it's that balance. And so I started practicing yoga nidra again, which helps me get a more restorative sleep.
Oh, I love yoga nidra.
Oh, I love it.
It's one of the few things that really, like, I love meditating, but yoga nidra is one of the few things that takes me to a really deep place of rest and rejuvenation.
It's just luscious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luscious. It's like the decadent form of like relaxation.
Yeah.
So I'm a yoga nidra facilitator, so I know what it's all about. Like I studied it and all this stuff, and so it's like, Dajon, like seriously, these are in your toolbox. You need to utilize them. So that, I would say, that's probably my habit that I'm releasing and need to transform with, because it is so important. So I actually wrote a blog about it, and I'm challenging myself and other people to get more sleep and to get more productive sleep. So using things like yoga nidra and things like that. So yeah.
What are some other like things that you think that people can use to, have restful sleep? Are there any like herbal aids that you might use, or things like that, like tools?
Yeah. I think that one thing, and it's funny because I actually literally just wrote a blog for the Huffington Post about this like 3 days ago. So of course it's interesting, of course, that we're talking about this, but but are some things, like I wrote a list out. So one of the things that I think throughout your day is keeping yourself grounded, so that when nighttime comes, it's not just like, oh my gosh, all these things happened and I'm just a human and I can't control anything. Like grounding yourself and going and putting your feet on the grass and,
Right.
and taking that time out. I think people are like, okay, it's time to go to bed. I'm just going to go to sleep. But then you're taking all of those things throughout the day that maybe you didn't take the time to process or sit with or let go or whatever. So if you're taking the time throughout the day to do that, it's really helpful when it gets time to bedtime. So then the other things are creating space around your sleep time. So before you go to bed, instead of just like, okay, brush my teeth, lay down, okay, fall asleep now, taking that time to just decompress and writing it out. Whether it be, some people are like, oh, I'm not a writer, but you can just even just write a few sentences and just sit there and close your eyes and like, how did today go? Like, how was that? And what are some things, it doesn't have to be super deep. It can just be taking the time to close your eyes and just calm yourself. And then taking the devices out of your room, obviously, the phones and the things, get an alarm clock. People are like, well, I've said the same thing. I use my phone as my alarm, but there are alarm clocks out there in other ways. So that you're not bringing, like, really making your sleep space a sacred space.
Yeah.
Removing all the laundry that's unfolded. Doesn't mean that it has to be all folded and put away, but like not having it right there in your sacred sleep space. And having that area clear. Also, your room, having things on the wall or on your dresser or wherever, everything should bring joy. So if you have something in there that's just cluttering the room, or if you just have shoes that are lying around, or it's a photo or whatever it could be, just really, I mean, I don't know, I'm sure that there's some sort of feng shui or something out there that's more technical, but like, I just feel like you should walk into your room and it should feel like a spa. It should just feel like, you can take a deep breath here. So that's one thing. And then in the morning as well, taking that space. So when you wake up, having that, either whether it's a dream journal or whatever, giving yourself time instead of the alarm going off and you jumping out of bed and like, okay, time to make the lunches and do all the things that I have to do today because I'm this important, amazing, busy human being, going, okay, what am I grateful for? And stretching your body and like letting your body just slowly kind of, come to. And it sounds like super woo-woo and everything, but like it makes such a difference. And my son knows in the morning, like when my door is closed, that's mom's time. And he can knock at the door, if he needs something, but like there's no barging into mom's space. I set boundaries around that.
Yeah.
And he has it too in his room. When he wants space, he says he's 5 and he'll say, Mom, I just need some space. And I respect that with him too. So he has the same freedom,
Yeah. I'm making notes here because this is exactly what I'm trying to get better at in my life right now, because I'm just very similar to like everything that you said about the way that you work and at night and sleep. And fortunately, or maybe, I don't know if it's fortunate or not, but because I don't have kids and I just do my own thing in terms of work, there's no real start time to the day.
Yeah.
And so if I'm in like the creative buzz, which happens a lot, like it's got to be like at least 2 times a week that I'm just like, I'm just going to work straight through. Like, you know, my partner's like, okay, when are you going to come to bed? And it's just like, when I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not tired, really. Just like, I'm going to go, like, I just want to do it. Because, like, yeah, it's like the website or something. It's always something online. I'm just like, because I want the sales page to be done when I wake up tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I'm going to finish the sales page at 3 a.m. And then I look around and I'm like, I want the dishes to be done when I wake up tomorrow, too. And I'm like, then I'm going to do the dishes. And then I'm going to straighten up the whole house. And it's just like, yeah, well, when I wake up tomorrow, it's going to be, like, really nice that all this stuff is done. But because I don't really have, like, a set time to wake up, then I wake up at, like, 11 a.m. the next day. I've got a bad start on my day. And like you were saying, it's just, like, coming to that realization that, like, I'm not serving the work that I'm doing if, like, I'm not waking up early to do it. Because waking up at 11 a.m. sets me up badly for the whole next day. I feel like I'm rushing through everything. And then I'm stuck again in this, like, bad cycle where it's, like, 11 p.m. and I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to start this project now because I've got energy. Like, I've got the energy to do it. And I do get a late second wind.
Yeah.
Like, all through, and I really primed myself badly when I was in college, and I wrote all my papers from, like, 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. the day before they were due, because, like, that's when I got my burst of, like, yeah, I'm going to get it done now. Like, I've got my coffee, and I've got, like, my snacks, and I'm just going to, like, bust it out overnight, and I'll just sleep all day the next day. So I'm trying to follow, and I've got a lot of these things, like, on my list already that you said, you know, about, I just bought, like, a proper alarm clock that does, like, you could plug in, like, an MP3 player, and so I want to wake up to, like, a meditation or some kind of nice sounds. I want to get the devices out of the room. And, yeah, just that grounding and creating space and just working in a more efficient way so I can stop doing the work, because I do have unfortunately, it takes me a really long time to wind down at night.
Yeah.
And so if I'm working late, I know there's still another hour's worth of winding down time after that.
Yes.
Because, like you said, I have to, like, I'm decelerating all of this mental activity from the day, where I'm getting down to a place where sleep is actually possible. I've never been the kind of person to just hit the pillow and then just go right out. Like,
no.
I'm always like, okay, I need some journaling time, then I need a half an hour of reading. I have to read before bed every single night, or else the reading helps me to get into, like, a dream state.
Yeah.
So if I'm reading, like, a good story, it just puts me into a different world, and I often just fall asleep, like, while I'm reading the book.
Uh-huh.
Right. But yeah, so if I know I need, like, an hour's downtime, then I have to start putting that into the schedule. So, like, I'm in bed early, but I still have, like, that hour of, you know, winding down.
Well, the people that you say, you know, I'm not a person who falls asleep easily or whatever, people that do that, it's not necessarily even that, like, oh, they're falling, like, they might physically be falling asleep, like, easily, so to speak, but they're not getting always the restful sleep, because they're not taking the time to wind down and honor that, like, okay, I'm a busy human being, I need to, like, quiet my mind. And that's why a lot of human beings they're getting 6 minutes of restorative sleep a night, you know, and so they're sleeping, but, like, how much of it is actually that deep REM, like, awesome, where we're restoring our brains.
Yeah.
So, you know, so I would say, like, try. So I have the same struggle that you do, exactly the same, of feeling that creative push at 11 o'clock at night. And, you know, and so I was working with my mentor around that, and she was saying, you know, it's okay if that's your creative space, but then, like, that needs to be your routine, or that needs to be your schedule. And so how do you feel when you wake up late? I'm like, I don't feel good when I wake up at 11 a.m. or whatever. And she's like, okay, well, then that's the issue. because some artists do, like, that's their creative time, and that's when
Yeah.
they, do stuff. And she's like, but then they make that their pattern, and they don't feel bad when they wake at 11 because that's the schedule they've set for themselves. But, like, if you're not feeling good about it, then that's the energy that you're, working in. And so she said, and I'm still working on this, so I haven't perfected this, but she's like, what would it feel like, and what would it look like to wake up early and have a creative burst, and then take some time to immerse. It might even be creative. It could just be that's your writing time, or your, you're checking, or I don't know, whatever it might be. But you have that early, like, get up, have breakfast, and do some work, and then you maybe do some self-care. You do your yoga or whatever,
Yeah.
and then have your second burst in the afternoon or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, that feels better to me. It feels good. And she's like, okay, well then that's how you know, like, what your next plan of action is. So it's been a work in progress.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yes. But I feel that this feels a lot better. I don't feel so, like, guilty or so, like, oh, I'm wasting my day.
Yeah.
Even though we're doing the opposite of wasting our days, because we are very, like, purposeful creators.
Oh my God, I'm getting so much done every day. Like, I don't know how much more I could squeeze into a day.
I know. I feel you.
Oh man, well, it's been so awesome to talk to you.
You too.
We're just like at the hour mark now, so I'm gonna wrap it up. But yeah, it's been awesome to talk to you. Enjoy the rest of your retreat, and yeah, thank you for sharing all of this great stuff with us.
Thank you. I've been looking forward to speaking with you, and it was amazing. So thank you so much.
All right, enjoy your day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.